The road out of Lusail is at a standstill, so you might as well cool those brakes, tune into the relaxing tones of Traffic Paradise Radio, and chill with us for a while.
Nice paradise, like traffic paradise. What is this one?
Hello and welcome to Traffic Paradise Radio. I'm Uno, and joining me today are Immy,
Hi.
Kira,
Hello.
and Leah.
Hello.
How you doing? Did you enjoy that race?
I've just come away from that completely flabbergasted, to be honest. It was very stressful, but it was also quite entertaining, so I'd say I enjoyed it.
I think in the moment it was quite intense and there was just so much happening all at once. But in general, there were some really good things to come out of it and I quite enjoyed it overall.
I don't know if I have ever been fully confounded by a race this much in a long time, but it had a lot of really good moments and a lot of entertainment at least. So I really enjoyed it, even though I was biting my fingernails about half of the time.
The entertainment value of this race was definitely up there. There was so much going on. There were cars spinning off, debris causing punctures, everything. It was a wild race, but very interesting one as well, with a lot of ramifications for the constructors' standings and driver standings, and just, yeah, a lot. So, how about we get into all of that with our Paradise and Purgatory of the week? We'll start with Purgatory, and we'll start with Leah. Who are you sending to Purgatory this week?
For Purgatory this week, I am sending Lewis. This was definitely a really hard race. I think kind of towards the end of the season, it's been really difficult, but just the bad luck of getting a puncture, the false start investigation, and the penalty. And then at the end of it, it sounded like he wanted to retire and then ended up not retiring from the race. Everything was not really going well. And even though, like, the fact that he was able to come back from the last pit stop and move up 3 places, it was just not a good weekend. So, my nomination for Purgatory is Lewis.
As someone who is a pretty big fan of Lewis, I actually agree. I mean, today was just not his day. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time quite a few times and then just didn't manage to recover very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very poor race for Lewis, and I hope that he has a better time in Abu Dhabi. Kira, would you like to give us your Purgatory candidate?
This may come as a bit of a shock, but I have decided to send Alex Albon to Purgatory. Now, I've got nothing against Alex in particular, but this was just an awful race for him. Firstly, he was involved in the Turn 1 incident on lap 1, which is not his fault, but then he managed to force Kevin Magnussen off the track twice on 2 separate occasions and ended up getting a time penalty, which put him at the points and couldn't hold his own against the Saubers. So generally just not a good race for him.
Yeah, very unfortunate race for Alex. I believe Williams, well, there were two teams that didn't score any points this race, and Williams was one of them, largely because of what happened with Alex and obviously Franco. So yeah, very, very tough race for Alex, and unfortunately, I do think he does belong in Purgatory this week. Immy, would you like to give us your nomination for Purgatory?
My pick for Purgatory is the new race director, Rui Marquez, because what was that? You have a wing mirror on the main straight. Wing mirror, like metal, glass, just hanging out there. And you wait, God, was it like 5 or 6 laps to cool a safety car? You wait until the Sauber of Valtteri Bottas ran it over, until Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton both picked up punctures that completely changed the outcome of their races. Only then did you call a safety car. What was the thought process there? It's just completely flabbergasted. Wow, how do you just let it sit there? Like, was he thinking, oh, I'll run the double yellows in that section for the rest of the race. What was going on?
I have to agree with that. I was looking at a screenshot earlier of all of the different kind of like signals that the team was getting and that was showing up on the boards. And the amount of changes is crazy. Within like a couple seconds of each other, the amount of different things that happen, the amount of confusion that could have possibly happened is insane. So I have to agree. This was an extreme safety risk that should not have gone on as long as it did, and it should not have been confusing as it was.
Leah, can you just elaborate? What do you mean by the things that the teams were seeing?
You have signals of like it's clear in this sector, or the track surface may be slippery, there's a double yellow in this sector, or like there's DRS enabled disabled. So it's those sort of signals or information that the teams and the drivers get. And then there's also like the boards, you get like the double yellows also show up on the board, so it shows the time that those are displayed in the sectors.
Yeah, didn't a lot of drivers have an issue with the safety car still being displayed when the safety car was going in?
Yeah, the safety car restart specifically, it didn't show the green even after the safety car went into the pits.
Which I don't know if that was like a technical issue or if that was race director side, but that was also just like a big issue because Max said in the cooldown room that he had no idea what he was supposed to do, which is not the position you want anybody to be in when they're trying to restart a race.
It's kind of crazy how mad all of that was. As you said, don't know if it's technical issues or pure incompetence, but I have to think that it's partly caused by the same guy having to like manage the entire weekend for all the different series because my goodness, that guy must be so overworked. I feel bad almost like sending him to Purgatory, but yeah, he messed up big time. So I think fair candidate to send to Purgatory. And on the topic of incompetence, my pick for Purgatory is the Visa Cash App RB team. Because my goodness, in a race with so many penalties, with so many DNFs, with so many safety cars, they were not able to take an opportunity that was so clearly handed to them. At one point, Yuki Tsunoda was in the points. He was in P10 and the car just went backwards, basically. He had no power. The car, I don't know if it was the setup. I don't know if they turned the engines down to conserve them for the last race. I don't know. Maybe it was a strategic call on their part, but it's just kind of embarrassing, really. And to think that at the beginning of the season, we were talking about this team as being a contender for P5, that they could take the fight to Aston Martin, and that Yuki Tsunoda could be challenging for P9 in the standings. And I looked at the standings currently, he's down in P12, and any hope of him climbing back into the top 10 is basically gone. And any hope of VCarb getting the top 6 position is basically gone. Yeah, there could be some sort of crazy Hail Mary, which I might predict in our Abu Dhabi video, but yeah, it seems like they've really sort of messed up their season big time. And I think a lot of questions need to be asked about what their team has done and how they've come to this point, because you can only blame the drivers so much. I can't even be like, oh, Lawson was terrible this weekend or Yuki messed it up or whatever. No, they just got a crap car and that was all they could do with it.
Oh, it was just upsetting. I think Yuki was up to P8, P9 at some point because at the start he was managing to make moves. He had a great start. It was all going well for him. That car had to be the slowest running in the field. It had to be the 10th fastest car this weekend. I don't think it's ever been that bad. There must have been some setup issue or strategical issue, something, but just wow. How do you go so bad so quickly?
Yeah, very disappointed in my team. I don't really have much more to say because I've just such a wasted opportunity. So, Rui Marquez, Alex Albon, Lewis Hamilton, and Visa Cash App RB. You are sentenced to purgatory to atone for your sins on and off the track. May the gods of motorsport have mercy on your souls. After sending those devilish candidates down to purgatory, we shall now uplift a few candidates to paradise. So, Leah, starting with you, who is your candidate for paradise?
My candidate for paradise this week is Ferrari, with being able to get on the podium and points haul for both of them. The World Constructors' Championship has been extended to Abu Dhabi, and they have the chance to take P1 from McLaren. So the fact that it was not finished this weekend and they can continue the fight, I'm giving them a paradise nomination that they can still keep going.
Yeah, I mean, for Carlos to have a puncture and still end up P6 just highlights what a good recovery this was for Ferrari. When they were in a position, it was looking like McLaren could wrap it up this weekend, to be able to actually gain on them points-wise, massive.
Next up, Kira, could we have your candidate for paradise?
So I am choosing to send Valtteri Bottas to paradise this week, as although he did not have quite the same race as Zhou Guan Yu did, he still pulled off several impressive overtakes, defied the safety car, did not really play to his favour, and ended up P11. And he's now no longer 23rd in the championship, he's 22nd instead. So great race for Valtteri Bottas, and I'm sending him to paradise.
Yes, and key to all of that is that he's no longer last in the championships, which is very unfortunate for Logan Sargent fans because he was holding on. Even though he wasn't there, he was still holding on, but he is now unfortunately last, and Valtteri is not last. So at least his final season will not end in complete horror, and he will not be last in the championships. So well done to Valtteri. Immy, would you like to give us your candidate for paradise?
My pick for paradise is Lando Norris, because I'm sure you all remember the Brazil sprint where Oscar Piastri gave up his win for Lando when he was fighting for the championship. Well, we come to Qatar, Lando and Oscar running 1-2. Lando's about to be a back-to-back sprint winner until, oh my god, Oscar crossed the line first. What the hell just happened? I certainly thought that. Shell-shocked watching this on the bus. I said hello to the bus driver instead of thank you when I got off. Thanks for that, Lando. But for him to slow down, and the team did not want him to do this. The team said, hold position. Lando, hold position. We're happy for you to hold position to the line. Hold position. But Lando slowed down. It was so close. There was a tenth between them at the end. But Lando did this purely out of his own sort of heart and teamwork. And I just think, man, that's really nice. It warmed my heart, that's for sure.
I think this kind of shows really how much teamwork there actually is with McLaren and how much they kind of value each other, because there was, drama with team orders and stuff throughout the year and everything, what was going to happen. And I think that this shows really that these two are teammates that are willing to help each other out and work together, despite what public opinion of either of them may be. So I think it's a good showing for McLaren that they are willing to back each other up, and the team can work together.
Definitely an amazing display of teamwork, and not even teamwork as in the whole team, but just the two drivers working together. And I think, first of all, it silences a lot of Lando haters, and it also sort of builds a relationship of trust for next year, because one of them, possibly both at first, but eventually only one of them will be a contender for the championship, and they will need the other one. So I think this is a great sort of olive branch that Lando has given to Oscar that will stand him in good stead for 2025. Now, unfortunately, my candidate for Paradise will not be there in 2025. but my goodness, he deserves to be, because Zhou Guanyu did such an amazing race today. There's been lots of comments on social media about people saying that their teams have tractors, but my goodness, that man got his car from the John Deere factory, because he had a tractor all year. And Zhou Guanyu, not only did he qualify strong, I think he qualified like P12 or something, but more than that, he got his car into the points and he kept it there. And that's key. It wasn't just like oh, whoops, we found ourselves in the points right at the end of the race. No, no, no. He was in that position for a while and he maintained it, and he drove the race of his life, of his career. Because when everyone was saying how he was so overrated, how he couldn't drive, how he's always qualifying last and he's doing terribly, he proved all of them wrong. And he showed that he does have what it takes to be in Formula One. And we see today that it was never Valtteri or Zhou. It was always the car. And when they finally fixed that car, I don't know what they did. I hope it wasn't illegal, because I want him to keep those points. But like, whatever they did a great job, and they actually delivered an amazing result today as a team. But we've already nominated Valtteri, so my choice is Zhou. And Kira, I know you were exceptionally excited when that happened. So would you like to give us a little bit more about Zhou?
I have been a massive fan of Zhou Guanyu for several years. I followed his Formula 2 campaign where he finished second behind Oscar Piastri, and it was absolutely incredible after the tough Formula 1 career that he's had, for him to have this sort of redemption at the very end of his full career. I guess there's still a chance that he'll get picked for a reserve driver for a couple of teams, but I think this season's been exceptionally difficult. He's dealt with constant hatred and racism, people blaming him when it has just been the car, and I think he proved that today, like Uno said. And I'm extremely satisfied for him that it's happened, and for him to also win Driver of the Day is just even better, because it shows that people actually recognise that he performed super well today.
Absolutely. And so it gives me great pleasure to say that Zhou Guanyu, Ferrari, Valtteri Bottas, and Lando Norris, for pleasing the gods of motorsport, you are granted entrance into paradise. Ascend. Now, we'd love to hear your choices for Paradise and Purgatory of the week, so leave us a comment down below and let us know. And if you're enjoying the program, please leave a like and consider subscribing. But before we move on to our next section, we do have a special candidate for Paradise, because this weekend, Abby Pulling won the Formula One Academy Championship in tremendous fashion, a dominant season from her. So I want to just give a quick shout out to Abby Pulling. And would anyone like to say something more?
Yes, I mean, I'm so happy that she's got her fully funded seat to GB3 next season, because she has spoken about how much funding has been an issue for her. So to have that, have no stress, just to be able to go race would be great. And we've had somebody jump straight from GB3 to Formula 2. So I don't want to get excited about that, but there are prospects, and that is a series that is leading to better things. So I can be hopeful.
I'm so happy for Abby. She's done such a great job. This has been such a dominant season for her, and I really hope that she can do well in GB3, because out of any of the current female racing drivers, she's by far the one with the most current potential in an FIA series to be able to make it up the ranks. I really hope we see good things from her next year in GB3.
I'm super excited that we are finally starting to build a really good foundation, at least for moving women up in different series. So helping out with funding and stuff like that, being able to give more opportunities. I just wish Abby the best of luck, and I'm really glad that she was able to win this championship, even if race 2 was canceled. I think that she had a good weekend, and I hope that we see a lot more from her.
Yeah, I think maybe we should send whoever crashed their Porsche into the barrier to Purgatory, but we're not here to hate on people. We're here to uplift Abby Pulling to paradise. So, Abby Pulling, for pleasing the goddesses of motorsport, you're granted entrance into paradise. Ascend, girl, you deserve it. Yes, queen. I said yes, queen, and I meant it, okay? Who did say?
Fair enough.
Immy, over to you.
Now we have a couple of points from the weekend we wanted to talk about, starting with Max Verstappen's one-place grid penalty. I think, right, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time anybody has had a one-place grid penalty. That is just absurd and great. The reasoning for it, right? Other drivers just got a reprimand for driving too slowly because there was nobody behind them. And then Max technically sort of impeded George, but because George was not on a push lap, it wasn't going to be the free place penalty. And so the stewards sort of had to find a middle ground, and that is the one place. But very, very comical, I think.
Here's my take. You do a bad thing, you get a penalty. Okay? I think the way the stewards played this is absolutely correct. They understood that he didn't deserve a full 3-place penalty. They also understood that what he did was more severe than what they had already given a warning for. So they made the right choice. And to the people who think that Max is somehow being victimized because he got given a 1-place penalty, like, please. They weren't victimizing him. He got a fair penalty for what he did. And I think, if anything, the stewarding this weekend has shown that the stewards are firm but fair. There were a lot of penalties handed out this weekend, and I think that the stewards got it bang on most of the time. So I don't really have a problem with the penalty. Yes, a little bit unorthodox, a little bit odd, but fair.
We also had a whopping 5 DNFs in that race and 7 penalties, just to touch on that quickly.
Maybe the 10-second stop and go was a little bit too extreme because the pit lane length for each track is different. So if you're going to give a 10-second stop and go penalty for lifting under a double yellow, for not lifting under a double yellow, which traditionally this season that penalty has actually been just 5 seconds and not a stop and go. So changing that one is different, but then also a stop and go penalty, it's going to make the time that you serve different for every single track. So instead of it being a 10-second stop and go and, one pit lane maybe 20 seconds and one pit lane maybe 15, you could make it a standard like 30-second penalty instead, because that's a lot more easier to understand than, say, a 10-second stop and go, and then your penalty is different between each track. And also, if it's a safety issue, I bring up the question then again of, why did we wait so long for the safety car? If this is a safety issue with the double yellows from the mirror, why did we not throw the safety car right away?
I think in this case the penalty was fair because the stewards are following the rule book. Maybe there's something wrong with the rule book, but the stewards are there. You do not lift under double yellow. This is the penalty. You get the penalty. It's sort of slam dunk. I could agree with the fact that stop and goes are different for every track. So therefore maybe they should alter that. But I wouldn't say just like add 30 seconds on, because I think sort of the severity of a stop and go is the fact you have to do it like within 3 laps. Whereas with a time penalty, you can strategize to think, oh, I've got to gain here before I go into the pits, or I've got to do this and that to try and build a gap before the end of the race. Whereas with the stop and go, it's just going to be like, you've got to take it. So maybe they make the stop and go a different length depending on the pits, but then that sort of makes it more confusing for an average sort of watcher to understand.
I can agree on that. And even with like the changing it to just like a standard 30 seconds, I totally agree that they should keep the, you have to serve it within 3 laps. And it shouldn't be like, something that can be served at any point in the race. But Another thing with that is, I think it was 13 laps after it was noted is when the penalty was given. And if it was a slam dunk, it should not have taken that long as well.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. I mean, I think the stewarding this weekend was confusing. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that like the FIA are going to make a thing to explain some of it, which just shows how confusing it was. I think there's obviously just a bit of a delay between the like Max saying, "Oh, Lando didn't lift," and then his race engineer has to relay that to whoever who relays that to Jonathan Wheatley, who goes and talks to the FIA. So there's gonna be a couple of a lap delay at least before anything would come through. Maybe 13 was extreme, but I think the stewards were working with a lot. So
Yeah, absolutely. Qatar is a track that brings a lot of penalties as it is. So I completely understand there could be a delay in stuff. But yeah, that's a lot of penalties.
yeah, that certainly is. Okay. Oh yeah, we've already touched on the Lando stop and go, but the consequences of this means I'm pretty sure Lando finished P10, in which case he picked up the point for P10 and the point for fastest lap. So we only gained 2 points. Charles gained a whopping 18. So now, after all of the talk of a title fight, it's now a fight for P2. 8 points between them.
Drama, drama, drama. Very exciting. Makes Abu Dhabi, just the stakes at Abu Dhabi so much higher. I'm excited for it. I'm kind of keen for Charles to win, just because, like, I like him. I think he's cool. But at the same time, I think also Lando deserves it. So it should be an interesting battle to watch. And I think whoever comes out on top definitely deserves it. It's just exciting times ahead.
I find it funny to sort of reflect on myself, like around the summer break, and when we made that end of year predictions episode, I was like, "Oh, Oscar's gonna catch Charles for P3 in the championship," and now there's like 50 points between them.
Don't worry, I said that Lando would win the whole thing. So.
Oh dear.
To be fair, I said Sauber would never score points this season, so.
Well, that was actually like the sensible thing to say.
And now look.
Okay. Finally, the sort of confusing rumor, maybe true, maybe rumor, nobody knows on the street, is that Jack Doohan will be replacing Esteban Ocon for Abu Dhabi. Now, I do not, I feel, have a reputable source for this. I mean, Sky Sports says so, but they said so, and then they deleted their post, and then they said, yes, this will be happening. Sky Sports is led to believe. I'm like, do you actually know? Apparently, Ollie Oakes spoke about it on F1 TV. I don't have a video, so maybe don't believe me until you see a video. It's Esteban Ocon's choice if he races in Abu Dhabi. I don't know what sort of agreement they have, but I do know Esteban hasn't been happy with the car, and I don't think he's been happy at Alpine, at least since Brazil. So something to watch out for, and I will say, if we get any updates, check into the traffic report on Wednesday, and you will find out more.
Yeah, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss traffic reports on Wednesdays. Thank you, Immy. Next, it is yet again time to look back at our predictions and see who came out on top in the inaugural Traffic Paradise Radio Competition Prediction Points Championship thing.
We should come up with a better name for that.
I think it might be a bit late, so we're like at the end of the year now, but yeah,
It's our brand now.
Yeah, maybe we'll change it for next year. We'll workshop it over the December break, and we'll come up with something even more amazing. Thanks, Leah. Okay, so let's recap our predictions from last week. Immy, what did you predict, and how did you do?
I predicted Oscar Piastri P1. If this was the sprint, I'd actually be golden. Wait, if this was the sprint, I'd be golden. Sorry. Lando Norris P2, George Russell P3. Can we do points for sprints?
Maybe next year we'll discuss it.
I got a point from my wild card because I predicted that Williams will have a DNF, which is not even a wild prediction anymore. I'd argue not.
Yeah, I think that's more expected, but we'll give you the point. It's fine. So congrats, Immy. You get 1 point. Kira, how did you do?
So I think following last year, I jumped on the Piastri bandwagon. As I said, Piastri P1, Russell P2, Leclerc P3. See, I was pretty close with Leclerc. Only one off. I did get my wildcard point with a Piastri sprint podium. So, I'm happy with that, considering I was way off of my podium. But it's fine. It's all good.
Okay, so you also picked up 1 point. So congratulations. But our big winner of the week was Leah. So tell us how you did.
I predicted the podium, but I got part of it wrong. So I said P1 for Verstappen, P2 for Piastri, and P3 for Leclerc. So I got 2 and 3 mixed up. That gives me 1 point for winner. And then my wild card was Mercedes DNF due to overheating, which didn't happen. But I thought maybe something would happen. I got close with the DNF. We almost had that, but
You'll be happy to hear you actually get 5 points for predicting the winner. So
oh, I get 5 points for
Yeah.
predicting the winner?
5 points for P1.
Yippee!
I also had a very similar prediction to you, or a similar podium prediction to you. But mine were in the wrong order because I predicted Leclerc in P1, Piastri in P2, and Verstappen in P3. So I got the podium right. I just got them in the wrong order. They're on the wrong steps. So I got 0 for that. And then I predicted rather delusionally that VCarb would overtake Alpine in the constructors. And that certainly did not happen. So I got 0 points this week. Immy, would you like to take us through what Tay and Neve predicted and how they did?
I would. Okay. Tay predicted P1 Piastri, P2 Verstappen, P3 Leclerc, and a wild card of Alpine overtake Haas in the constructors. 1 point for that. It wasn't looking likely, but man, Pierre Gasly pulled out a wicked result. Wicked. What a word. Okay, and then Neve, P1 Piastri, P2 Russell, P3 Verstappen. Wildcard, Williams crash, and Neve picks up 1 point for going with the safe wildcard like me if something bad will happen to a Williams.
Thank you, Immy. Let's have a look at how this has changed the leaderboard. Now, we already mentioned that Leah picked up 5 points this week. And Leah, congratulations. You are now number 1 in the leaderboard with 18 points.
Yippee!
Are you excited that you won?
Yes, I'm very excited that
It's
I
not
am
over
now.
yet.
I'm now first. I'm not winning. I haven't won yet. I won't celebrate too early. But
It's looking good. It's looking good for you. It's looking good. Kira, you're in a vulnerable second place with 14 points, having picked up 1 point this weekend.
It's a bit of a shame. I've been leading this thing the whole time until now, and suddenly at the penultimate race of the season, I lose it. God, what a bottle from me, honestly.
We've just got to think about the fact really that it's my fault we're in this position
yeah,
because I called Texas the Sunshine State.
thank God for me being American.
I don't know. I would like to submit a formal apology to the country I have a citizenship with. I don't know how I made that mistake. It is the Lone Star State. But yeah, Leah profited massively from my mistake. So sorry, Kira.
Maybe I'll forgive you eventually.
Well, maybe not, Kira, because Immy's right on your tail in P3 with 13 points. So you might still have a few more grudges for Immy next week if she can overtake you. Immy, P3, how do you feel about your chances?
You know, I'd be happy with P3 if that's how it went down. I do, it's quite close behind me, so I'd like to stay here and I'd be happy if I moved up, but I haven't been very good lately, so we'll just pray. I'm kind of like the V carb.
I think I'm more like the V cop this week
Yeah.
because well, let me first. Tay got 1 point, so she's in P4 with 11 points, but I am sitting in P5, still on 10 points, having gained nothing, and Neve has gained an extra point, still in P6, but on 7 points. But this championship is not over yet because there are still 10 points available next week, and we haven't factored in our end of year prediction points yet. So there's still everything to play for, and it's anyone's game. A full house prediction where you get everything right next week could be all the difference you need to win this championship. But yeah, we'll add all those up after Abu Dhabi. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on finding out who won the inaugural Traffic Paradise Radio Competition Prediction Points Championship thing. That is all the time we have for. So thank you for tuning in to Traffic Paradise Radio. It looks like the road heading out of Qatar is finally clear. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to follow us if you are listening on Spotify, or like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. In the description, you will find links for our Twitter, Bluesky, and Discord, so be sure to follow us there for race coverage, or just to say hi. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day or night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Think I'm losing completely though, but we'll see how it goes.
You could. If you got a full house, you could.
Yeah, but
Neve couldn't.
I predicted the wrong championship winner, so
Oh no, yeah, oh no.